Whose approval are you working for? So this guy named Frank Lake and another guy named James Friesen and a few other people have developed a tool that illustrates this for you. They call it the old cycle of work and the new cycle of work. So I like that because if you go back to Ephesians 4, where we were a couple weeks ago, we talked about old and new, right? We said, hey, you got to take off the old way of doing things and put on the new way of doing things. And so this is the new way to work. This is how you work in light of who you are because of what he's done, right? The old way doesn't work. Why? Because it starts with achievement. If I do something really, really good, and I'm good at it, people will notice. And when they notice, it makes me feel good, so that makes me feel significant. And I like to feel significant, and so I need more of that in my life. So I keep doing it, and I keep getting these hits of dopamine, right, that give me sustenance. It's what carries me. I'm good at it, they noticed it, and they keep telling me, so it makes me carry on, right? And eventually, I'm actually feeling approved or accepted by them. Here's the problem. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. Let me prove it. Take the achievement away. Everything else falls. You get cut from the team. You fail the test. You lose the job. It's all gone. But there's good news. There's a new way to work. God has a totally different way of doing business, and it's to start on the other end. Instead of starting with achievement, you start with approval. You start with your identity as one who is approved by God as a follower of Christ. If you've surrendered your heart to Jesus, you're approved by God. That's who you are. You are chosen. You are loved. You are accepted. And out of that is your sustenance. It's that relationship with Jesus that constantly feeds you through the Bible, right? His truth, it feeds you in your life. It gives you direction. And it keeps feeding you over and over and over, and that's what builds your significance. You're not looking for it from anybody or anything else. You found it in God, and that gives you significance. And now you're ready to achieve. But if you take the achievement away, look what's left. All of it. So when you get over here to significance from approval, it's not like you lower the standard. No, this is where you raise the standard. Because now you're willing to go all in. You're willing to be the best at what you do. You're willing to put in the hard work. But when nobody else is doing it, you're willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. Why? Because it's not defining you. Because you're already approved. And you want to see greatness found that way. And this is how you work in light of who you are because of what he's done. You work from approval rather than for it. Jesus had something to say about this in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 11. He said, are you tired of working? You tired of trying to find approval by working it out? Then come and join me, and I'm going to show you what he calls the unforced rhythms of grace. The unforced rhythms of grace. The way of doing life, the way of working that works. When you grasp God's view of work and his values at work, it changes your work ethic. You work completely different than before. And too many of us are trying to squeeze out of work and squeeze out of leisure what can only be found in God and rest. I'll be honest with you, this sermon wasn't supposed to be in this series. We didn't plan for it. Started teaching this series. I'm like, I have to do this. Because this is so practical. This is where we live every single day. Listen, the work that God wants to do through you at work, he will always start in you at home. And he wants to work a transformation in you. If you're not a follower of Christ yet, you can't work from this cycle. Because you haven't been approved by God. But you could today. You could make the decision to enter into a relationship with God through Jesus, accepting his free gift of forgiveness through his death on the cross, and say, you know what? I believe that. I receive that forgiveness. I want to be approved by my Father in heaven. I want to be a child of God. And he will transform your heart, and what he starts to do in you will eventually flow through you.